Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 12, Text 11. We are hearing the transcendental knowledge from Jaḍa. Jnanam Vishuddham Paramarthamekam.
ज्ञानं विशुद्धं परमार्थमेकम्
Anantaram tva abhir brahma satyam.
अनन्तरं तु अभिब्रह्म सत्यम्
Pratyak prashantam bhagavat chapta samgyam.
प्रत्यक्प्रशान्तं भगवत्शब्दसंज्ञम्
Yadvasudevam kavayo vadanti.
यद्वासुदेवं कवयो वदन्ति।
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. What then is the ultimate truth? The answer is that non-dual knowledge is the ultimate truth. It is devoid of the contamination of material qualities. It gives us liberation. It is the one without a second, all-pervading, and beyond imagination. The first realization of that knowledge is Brahman. Then Paramatma, the Supersoul, is realized by the yogis who try to see him without grievance. This is the second stage of realization. Finally, full realization of the same supreme knowledge is realized in the Supreme Person. All learned scholars describe the Supreme Person as Vasudev, the cause of Brahman, Paramatma, and others. In Caitaniya Caritamita, it is said, Yad Advaitam Brahmopanishadi Tadapi Asya Tanubha. The impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Absolute Truth consists of the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada is here quoting Caitaniya Caritamrita, which is saying, where is the Brahman coming from? The Brahman is the bodily rays of the Supreme Lord, just as the sunshine is the rays of the sun planet, of the sun god Vivaswan. The sun planet is emanating this light because these rays are coming from the sun god Vivaswan. Similarly, the Brahma Jyoti is the effulgence from the form of the Supreme Lord. Ya Atma Antaryami, Ya Atma Antaryami, Purusha iti so Shyamsha Vibhavaha. What is known as Atma and Antaryami, the Super Soul, is but an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Brahman is his bodily rays and the Paramatma is his expansion of the Supreme Lord. Sad Aishwarya Purno Ya Iha Bhagavan Sa Swayam Ayam. What is described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, complete with all six opulences, is Vasudev, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from him. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, he is full in all six opulences. And Caitanya Caritamrita says that Lord Chaitanya is that Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's Swayam Bhagavan. So great learned scholars and philosophers accept this after many, many births. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha 7.19. So, it may take one many, many births to understand or to realize that Krishna is the cause of all causes and that one needs to surrender to him. The wise man can understand that ultimately Vasudev Krishna is the cause of Brahman and Paramatma, the Super Soul. Thus Vasudev is Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. So someone may be able, depends on where we are in our cycle of, consciousness, of our surrender to God. So someone may take many, many lives to come to the point to surrender to Krishna. But one who is wise surrenders to him immediately, because he says, why should I wait for so many births? If I have to anyway surrender to him, let me surrender to him now then, instead of taking so many births. Thus Vasudhaya. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. The real tattva, absolute truth, is Bhagwan, but due to incomplete realization of the absolute truth, people sometimes describe the same Vishnu as impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma. Bhagavatam 1.2.11 states, Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdayate. So, when we look at God from very, very far away, then we understand him to be formless, to be the Brahman. But as we come closer to God, we try to understand him more. We understand he's the Paramatma in our heart. He's the Paramatma in every atom of the universe. And when we try to understand God even more, when we come even closer to him, we can understand that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in all the opulences, all the six opulences: fame, beauty, strength, knowledge, renunciation, and that the Brahman is his bodily rays and Paramatma is his expansion. Prabhupada would give the example, just as we see the hill from very far away, we can't see the shape of the hill also, seems just like some cloud. We go nearer, walk more towards the hill, we can see, it has a shape, looks kind of green. But when we actually enter the hill, we can see, so many trees, so much life is there, so waterfalls. As we go closer to an object, we can understand it better. So, understanding Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaneti Shabdayate. From the very beginning, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Satyam Param Dhimahi. We meditate on the supreme truth. So Srila Vyasadeva begins the Bhagavatam in this way, Satyam Param Dhimahi. We meditate on the supreme truth. The supreme truth is explained here as Jnanam Vishuddham Satyam. The absolute truth is devoid of material contamination and is transcendental to the material qualities. So the absolute truth has no material qualities, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have spiritual qualities. No material qualities, but it has spiritual qualities, as we were reading earlier, that absolute truth, God, he has 64 qualities in full. And Lord Vishnu, Krishna has 64, Lord Vishnu, all the Vishnu Tattvas have 60, Lord Shiva 55, and the perfect living entity, Lord Brahma, or any other soul who can become perfect has 50 of these qualities. So it gives all spiritual success and liberation from this material world. That supreme absolute truth is Krishna Vasudeva. There is no difference between Krishna's inner self and outward body. There is no difference between Krishna's inner self and outward body. So, Krishna's form, as we see, it is spiritual. It's not there is something inside the form. Just like we are having this material body, but we are inside the body. Our soul is inside this body. But not Krishna. His form is spiritual. There's no difference between his form and his soul. That's his spiritual form. Krishna is Purna, the complete whole. There is no distinction between his body and soul as there is between ours. Sometimes so-called scholars, not knowing the constitutional position of Krishna, mislead by saying that Krishna within is different from the Krishna without. No, there is no within or without of Krishna. Krishna there's no difference between his body and soul. His body is spiritual, is transcendental. That's what Krishna is saying, try to understand this point. And we understand it and we can get liberated. When Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru, so-called scholars advise the reader that it is not the person Krishna to whom we must surrender, but the Krishna within. So-called scholars, Mayavadis, cannot understand Krishna with their poor fund of knowledge. One should therefore approach an authorized person to understand Krishna. The spiritual master has actually seen Krishna, therefore he can explain him properly. So that's why we need to hear from the authorized spiritual master, here in the disciplic succession, because the authorized spiritual master has the correct knowledge of Krishna. So he can give us correct knowledge of Krishna. When Krishna is saying, Man mana bhava mad bhakto, engage yourself in thinking of me. So we have to think of Krishna. It's not that we have to think something inside of Krishna. Krishna is not saying, think of something inside me. He's saying, think of me as I am. There is no difference between his body and soul. This is the point we need to understand. There is a difference between our body and soul because we are inside the material body. But Krishna's body is not material. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself is saying in chapter 4, text 34, Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshayanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. That approach a tattvadarshi, the self-realized spiritual master. Approach him with humility, with submissiveness, render service unto him, inquire from him submissively, and he shall show you the truth because he has seen the truth. Without approaching an authorized person, one cannot understand Krishna. So if we at all want to understand Krishna, we have to hear in the disciplic succession. Because the authorized spiritual master has understood Krishna, so he can show us Krishna. Just like the teacher, if the teacher himself, suppose it's a complex problem, if the teacher knows how to solve it, then the teacher can explain it to the students properly how to do it. But if the teacher himself doesn't know, then how will she be able to teach to the students? Rahūgaṇa tapasa nayati.
Rahūgaṇe tapasanyati
Nache jaya nirpanat graha nirvapanat grahadva.
na cha ijaya nirvanapat grahatva
Na chandasaneva jalagni surya.
na chandasana eva jalagni surye
Vina mahatpadarajo bhishekam.
बिना महत्पादरजो अभिषेकम्.
My dear King Rahūgaṇa, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of household life, leaving home as a vanaprast, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. Actual knowledge of transcendental bliss can be bestowed upon anyone by a pure devotee. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakta. One cannot attain the perfection of spiritual life simply by following the directions of the Vedas. One has to approach a pure devotee. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. So here here Bharat is telling Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa that there are so many processes, there's so many different ways, austerities, vows. But the only way one can understand the absolute truth is by getting the mercy of a pure devotee. There's no other way. That's how Krishna has made it, because the pure devotee understands Krishna. So he can, by his mercy, we will be able to understand Krishna. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, by pleasing the spiritual master, one pleases Krishna. By displeasing the spiritual master, one displeases Krishna. By the grace of such a devotee, one can understand the absolute truth, Krishna, and one's relationship with him. So by the grace of the devotee, by the grace of the pure devotee, we can understand absolute truth, Krishna, and our relationship with him. A materialistic person sometimes thinks that simply by executing pious activities and remaining at home, one can understand the absolute truth. That is denied in this verse. Nor can one understand the absolute truth simply by observing the rules and regulations of brahmacharya celibacy. One only has to serve the pure devotee. That will help one understand the absolute truth without fail. So service to the pure devotee. How Narad Muni was a small boy, he served the devotees and he became Narad Muni by doing that. He was just a small boy. So service to the devotees is very, very powerful. By serving the devotees, we attract Krishna's mercy. The dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee is very powerful. Any questions or comments?
This was Hare Krishna. So I think this was very, very important part, right? That no matter what, no, how much austerity you do or anything,
Yeah.
but that cannot give you Krishna Bhakti.
Yeah, it's true.
And
But
only Bhakti is only for Krishna, right? Not for any Devta. We don't say Ganesh Bhakti, we don't say Durga Bhakti. Because Bhakti
no,
Devi is only for Krishna. Because
that's right.
Bhakti Devi is given by Radharani, right?
That's right.
It's not
That's
for
right.
any other demigod. No, nothing. Only Bhakti is only for Krishna, at the lotus feet of Krishna, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Bhakti is only for Krishna. Yeah. And bhakti we can receive from the,
Devotee.
yes,
By
from the
serving the
bhakta.
devotee. Bhakta,
Yes,
yes.
because the bhakta has the bhakti, so he can give
Hmm.
us bhakti. Can we give
Yes.
someone something that we don't have?
No.
No, right?
No.
So if
Wow.
we want bhakti, we have to approach the devotee because the bhakta has bhakti, so he can give us bhakti.
Everything is so logically, right? There is nothing that you hear and you deny in this. It's so logic. If you don't have an apple, how can you give an apple to somebody?
Exactly. Yes. That's why we are again reminded, approaching the
Hmm.
bona fide spiritual master, because he
Hmm.
has bhakti, he can give us bhakti.
Yes.
Yeah. reading on. Yatrotamashloka gunanuvadaha
यत्रोत्तमश्लोकगुणानुवाद
प्रस्तूयते ग्राम्य कथा विघातः
प्रस्तूयते ग्राम्य कथा विघातः
निषेव्यमानो नुदिनं मुमुक्षो
निषेव्यमानो मुमुक्षो
मतिं सतिं यच्छति वासुदेवे
मतिं सतिं यच्छति वासुदेवे
Who are the pure devotees mentioned here? In an assembly of pure devotees, there is no question of discussing material subjects like politics and sociology. In an assembly of pure devotees, there is discussion only of the qualities, forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is praised and worshipped with full attention. In the association of pure devotees, by constantly hearing such topics respectfully, even a person who wants to merge into the existence of the Absolute Truth abandons this idea and gradually becomes attached to the service of Vasudeva. The symptoms of pure devotees are described in this verse. The pure devotee is never interested in material topics. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has strictly prohibited his devotees to talk about worldly matters. Gramya Varta na kahibe. One should not indulge in talking unnecessarily about the news of the material world. One should not waste time in this way. This is a very important feature in the life of a devotee. A devotee has no other ambition than to serve Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one of the symptoms when we read Nectar of Devotion, one of the symptoms of a devotee who's in bhava, that he doesn't have to say anything, but by just looking at him, observing his actions, one can know, because his 24 hours a day, he's engaging in service to Krishna. Nothing else. Only serving Krishna. That is pure devotee. Serving Krishna with body, mind, and words. So, this Krishna consciousness movement was started to engage people 24 hours daily in the service of the Lord and in His glorification. The students in this institution engage in the cultivation of Krishna consciousness from 5 in the morning to 10 at night. They actually have no opportunity to waste their time unnecessarily by discussing politics, sociology, and current events. These will go their own way. A devotee is concerned only with serving Krishna positively and seriously. So, anyabhilashita shunyam. That only desire is to please Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. And then it is Krishnanushilanam. By following the representative, the authorized representative, by following the previous acharyas, not whimsically, because we can make up our own mind, but that's whimsical. We don't know how to please Krishna, so we follow the footsteps of the instructions of the pure devotees. Aham pura bharato nama raja
अहं पुरा भारतो नाम राजा
vimukta drishta shruta sangha bandha
विमुक्तरिश्रुत संगबंधा
आराधनम bhagavata ihamano
आराधनं भगवत इह मानो
mrigo bhavam mriga sangadhatartha.
मृगो भवं मृगसंगार्थतार्थम्.
in a previous birth, I was known as Mahārāja Bharata. I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience and through indirect experience. I received understanding from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord. But due to my misfortune, I became very affectionate to a small deer, so much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. Due to my deep affection for the deer in my next life, I had to accept the body of a deer. The incident herein described is very significant. In a previous verse, it is stated, Vinamahat pada rajobhishekam. One cannot attain perfection without smearing the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says very powerful things to get bhakti. The dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee, the remnants of a pure devotee, and the water that has washed the feet of the pure devotee. If one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado. Yasya prasadan na gati kutopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer, and forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down. So Bharat Maharaj had no association with devotees. So he neglected his devotional service, but he didn't realize what he was doing. There was no one to tell him, that you become too affectionate. It's not good. You're neglecting your spiritual duties. So association of devotees is so important. Maharaj Bharat, he got willfully, he willfully neglected, you know. He didn't have to, but he neglected his spiritual duties. So Prabhupada is saying if he would have consulted a spiritual master, the spiritual master would have told him, hey, what are you doing? Samam smritirme gade pivira.
Samam smriti mragade api veera.
Krishna archana prabhavano jahati.
Krishna archana prabhavo na jahati.
Atho aham jana sangat asango.
Aho atho aham jan sangata sanga.
Visham kamano bibitas chara.
Vishangamano abhivrecharami.
My dear heroic king, due to my past sincere service to the Lord, I could remember everything of my past life, even while in the body of a deer. Because I'm aware of the fall down in my past life, I always keep myself separate from the association of ordinary men. Being afraid of their bad materialistic association, I wander alone, unnoticed by others. In Bhagavad Gita 2.40, it is said, Svalpam api asya dharmasya. It is certainly a great fall to go from human life to animal life. But in the case of Bharat Maharaj or any devotee, devotional service to the Lord never goes in vain. Although Bharat Maharaj, he became in the body of a deer, it's not that he had to undergo again all the different animal forms and then after that come to a human. No, this was just like kind of a token reminder to him, from Krishna personally. So devotional service is never lost. Even a slight beginning can save us from the greatest type of fear, greatest type of danger, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tyajati Ante Kalevaram. At the time of death, by nature's law, the mind is absorbed in a certain type of thinking. So we may think, no, I'm going to think of this when I die. But it seems it's nature's law that the mind is absorbed in a certain type of thinking at the time of death. This may lead one to animal life, yet for a devotee there is no loss. Even though Bharat Maharaj received the body of a deer, he didn't forget his position. Consequently, in the body of a deer, he was very careful to remember the cause of his fall down. As a result, he was given a chance to be born in a family of very pure Brahmanas. Thus, his service to the Lord never went in vain. So, devotional service is eternal. Eternal. Tasman
So relax.
narosanga. Huh? I'm sorry.
Sorry, just wanted to say that how much strength, more strength it gives you to do bhakti when you know that it is not lost. Even if you have offered a small tulsi leaf on the lotus feet of Krishna, if you have just offered a flower, if you have just offered some incense or diya or even, itra, you have just rubbed some itra on the feet of Krishna. So we
Yeah.
know that it is not lost. But no matter how much we do in this material world for others, it is all lost. Not not we are not talking about the next life or other life. It is lost here in. No matter how
Yeah,
much you
it's
do
true.
for others, it's just lost in the next moment. If you're not in favor of them, then all what you have done good is lost.
Yeah, it's true.
But then it
It's
shows
true.
that how merciful Krishna is, how merciful. If you just call
Yeah.
his name, if you just serve him, if you just serve his devotee, he's saying, if not only about himself, but if you serve a pure devotee, that is also never lost.
Yeah, it's true.
Like how nice and how important thing to remember that that will not be lost, no matter how, like how Bharat Maharaj is emphasizing that, right? Jad Bharat is emphasizing that.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
gives you strength to walk on this path.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, and so much like has been stressed that serving a pure devotee,
Yeah.
you have to do that. Then only you
Yeah.
can get, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. What are the
That
examples?
pleases.
Service. Hmm?
Pardon?
A few examples that we've been reading in Bhagavatam. Service to the devotee.
I think even Narad Muni served all the people, all the Munis that came to his house, and how
Yeah.
he got the bhakti.
Yes. Yes. That's right. That's
And
right. And who else?
I'm just thinking, even Dhruv Maharaj didn't serve, but
Yes, he served. He served the
he served.
instruction of his spiritual master.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, he
Yes,
served.
service is by Vapu and Vani.
Oh yes,
So he
Vapu and
served
Mani.
the
So he served.
instruction.
Even Prahlad Maharaj then.
Prahlad, yeah,
Yeah, he always remembered because Krishna, and he got the instructions from Narad Muni.
yes, yeah. I remember Mrigari the hunter,
Yeah, Mrigari.
you know,
Mm.
and I remember Shabri.
Yes.
Yeah.
She got the
Shabri
instructions from the
served
guru.
her spiritual master with faith, with complete dedication and faith,
Mm.
you know. So, yeah, service to the devotees. I was just watching this Rajmandal Parikram, and then how the devotees on the parikram are serving each other, in the dham, because they're serving each other, washing each other's clothes, getting water for each other, because serving the devotee, So all the devotees who have gone on the dham or to the parikram, how they are serving. Very beautiful.
So whenever we get an opportunity, we should grab,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Such
serve the
service.
devotees. It's very, very purifying. Serving the devotee is the only way to please Krishna. As Jaḍa is saying, no amount of austerity, penance, all that can attract Krishna's heart. But serving the devotee, we attract the mercy of the devotee, then we attract the mercy of Krishna.
And it is
Tasya
not only about
prasada.
the mercy, like as you mentioned, that you attract the mercy, yes. And when you serve the devotees, their heart is so pure. You can understand when you conversate with a devotee, he is selfless. He has no hidden motive. Sometimes how people in this material world are, like myself, that we are always, if somebody is doing good to us, we are always doubtful. कि
You
इसके
are a
पीछे तो
devotee also. You
I,
are also a devotee.
I'm just trying to be a devotee, but I'm just telling you that
Yeah.
when in this material world, because our anarthas are so much in our heart that if somebody do something for us selflessly, we are not able to accept it as a but when we connect with a devotee and we connect with a Krishna, then that acceptance come in itself. Then you can appreciate you, then you can then you are happy that you are in their association, because they are doing it really selflessly. There is no other motive, there is no other reason in their heart,
Yeah,
because they just want to make Krishna happy.
yeah, it's true.
So because I felt this when I go to temple, that there is nothing like, even in India, if I came across the Hare Krishna devotees, then there's nothing, no motive, you know
Yeah,
they're just doing everything selflessly to please you. And it is so amazing. Sometimes you can't describe that feeling also, that it is just a small thing that I went to this they had a temple, and I just got to know that they have the Sunday program at their house, and it was near my house in Jaipur, and I didn't knew it from all these years, but somehow I got to knew. I went there, they invited for the Sunday program, they did it at their house. I went there, and you will not believe that how, because I had to leave little early, so they served me the prasadam before, and how nicely they made me sit and eat the prasadam. Otherwise it was no need,
yeah, yeah, it's
and there
true.
was
I've
no
heard something
motive, and there was no motive of their own, but so
Yeah,
selflessly they're doing for a stranger. I was a stranger for them completely. I have met them first time in my whole life, nothing knowing. But just
Mhm.
because I have Krishna stamp on my head, that made me something for them. If I have that Krishna stamp on my head, if I have my Krishna tilak, or if I have my Krishna beads, or if I have my Krishna kanthi, I am something for them. Otherwise, I'm nothing. I'm a normal human.
Yeah, but they'll serve even normal human. I mean, they serve
Yeah, they
everyone.
will serve.
That's what
Devotees,
I was going to say. Won't they
No, no,
yeah,
serve
no. I'm
everyone?
devotees
sure.
serve
Yeah,
But
everyone.
yes, yes,
everyone.
absolutely. But I'm just
Yeah,
telling you that made them, connect even more. They started talking more about Krishna. To
and
the normal, they will just serve the prasadam and give everything. But I'm just telling about the importance of association. That
yeah.
when they also know,
Mm.
then they will speak more. Because until they are not sure, they will
Oh, yeah,
properly
of
serve.
course.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just telling about that importance of the association. because they will serve. Serving is not a problem. Even to anybody, they will consider that. But I'm just telling about the proper association, that they will share their experience. It will be a
Yeah,
reciprocation.
very nice. Very good. So then this is how the devotees attract our hearts, and they encourage us
Yes,
also to engage in devotional service,
yes,
This
absolutely.
is this is how the devotees are. They're preaching by their behavior.
Like
Devotees,
how
they
you
serve
do,
everyone.
yeah, like how you do, how Bhavna ji do. You guys are doing selflessly.
Let's continue to read. Bhavna, yeah, she does a lot. Really amazing, amazing
She's
service.
amazing, amazing. Sometimes
Running
I
the whole
think that how,
temple.
yes,
Yes, it's a really amazing service. Not easy, not easy.
not easy, not easy.
Yeah, yeah, she does amazing work.
Even you are doing a lot.
Yeah, you're doing for us a lot. Still,
That's
but
what.
it's not.
Just read nothing else. Let's continue. Tasmanarasanga susanga jata
Tasmad naro sanga susanga jata.
jnana sineheva vivikran namoha
Jnana asina iha eva vikragan moha.
harim tadiha kathana shrutabhyam
Harim tat iha kathnam shrutabhyam.
labdha smritiryati atiparam advanaha.
Labdha smritiyati atiparam advanaha.
Simply by associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with the sword of knowledge can cut to pieces the illusory associations within this material world. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam. Thus, one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness and, sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home back to Godhead even in this life. So here Jad Bharat is stressing so much the importance of association. To become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept the association of devotees. Positive and negative processes are mentioned in this regard. So, physically we may say, oh, how am I going to be able to give up the association of worldly people? I'm living around worldly people, but we can do it inwardly, we can practice at least. As Jar Bharat was saying, right? It's all in the mind. The mind is making us seek so much of this temporary enjoyment, and instead we are getting suffering and anxiety. So at least with the consciousness, we can withdraw it. Conscious and try to remember Krishna more and more. So through the association of devotees, one develops Krishna consciousness, which is dormant within. So each of us is Krishna conscious. In our pure state, every living entity is Krishna conscious. We are simply forgotten and we have to revive it. So we can revive it in the association of devotees. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving this chance to everyone. We are giving shelter to everyone who is serious about progressing in Krishna consciousness. We arrange for their lodging and board so that they can peacefully cultivate Krishna consciousness and return home back to Godhead even in this life. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the devotees who live in the ashram. Before, ISKCON was mostly, all the devotees were all living in the ashram, in the temple. Now it's more congregational, more based, like, people live by themselves outside the temple. But yet there are devotees who live in the temple, and more people in India are joining. the temples. In India, it's like going on so well, so well. The young people are joining. Thus end the Vedanta purports of the 5th canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Conversation Between Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa and Jaḍa. So association of devotees, serving the instructions of the pure devotee, taking the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee. This is what we heard today from Jaḍa. Yeah. Simply by associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with the sword of knowledge can cut to pieces the illusory associations within this material world. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam. Thus, one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness, and sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home, back to Godhead, even in this life. So we don't have to wait to die to become Krishna conscious or get liberated. We can get liberated even while we are in the body. That's what Prabhupada would keep saying. Did anyone wanted to add anything more?
Yeah, we are reading so Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so we are reading so much about, everything comes from him. He's the cause of all causes. He's the superpower, right?
Yes.
And yeah, and then there's still so much of competition everywhere for power. We are not realizing. We are getting so distracted. So much is happening everywhere. So much toxicity is there. And it's just like what Jad Bharat is saying, that we should not be interested in all these things, right? Just keep chanting. Yeah. Why are we, like saying, this is mine, that is hers, she did that, he did that. And then, there is so much effect of all of these things, on us. Just not being interested in all these things as we were reading before, is so important. Just keep chanting, just learn from spiritual master, and get progress in that devotional service towards Lord. Just be in there, right?
Yes.
Association.
Yeah, be in association. Yeah, because they really
Yeah.
guide you and keep you in that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
that's
keep
so
you in that
important.
platform. Yes. The more we get,
Yes.
into all this, like what we were reading, the material topics of, it just, brings us more back into, cause and effect of everything.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. And like you said yesterday, so very well, day before, I mean, that treat everyone as an individual, no matter what. Don't get into their material topics, don't judge them, don't doubt them, this is so important. Let's just keep, being in that platform of devotion towards the Supreme Lord. Just be there. Don't just hold that center of, devotional service. Just be there. Try not to, your mind, just control over you.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we have to keep attempting to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may forget, but just keep reminding ourselves that.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.